It all kicks off in the world of Palladia, a super famous VR game known for letting players basically do whatever they want. In this place, dragons and titans literally just pop out of the shadows to spread chaos and wreck everything in sight. The devastation is so wild that even the massive fortresses crumble under their attacks. That's exactly when our MC enters the chat, being one of the top tier players, just watching the whole map fall apart. He decides he's not just going to stand there like an NPC, so he jumps off the tower and dives right into the action. Today's side quest is to send this adult dragon back to the lobby and secure the ultimate max reward from the system. Spear in hand, he charges at the winged beast without a second thought. Summoning the power of a massive titan, our player is fully focused on taking this monster out once and for all. But the creature doesn't take the disrespect lightly and blasts a totally devastating wave of fire. Even while getting swallowed by the flames, the MC doesn't back down and keeps up his furious attack. The impact of the hit is massive, creating this epic explosion of energy and fire mid-air. Feeling the damage, the beast lets out an ear-piercing roar that literally shakes the entire battlefield. However, the monster's strength ends up being way too much and absolutely wrecks the player. Without any chance to defend himself, he gets violently yeeted straight into the stone rubble. Struggling to get back on his feet, our warrior realizes his best effort was a flop yet again. Taking another fat L in the game, he decides it's time to log off and touch some grass. But when he tries to disconnect, the interface mysteriously hits him with an access denied. Meanwhile, the dragon is up there prepping for another heavy, hitting nosedive. Seeing the system glitching out, a serious wave of panic starts creeping in. The beast swoops down, totally ruthless, jaws wide open to deliver the final game, over strike. With an earth-shattering boom, the entire zone is engulfed by the creature's power. Outside, back in the real world, massive screens are broadcasting the footage of that huge gaming fail. The MC is just walking through the city, deep in his feelings about his virtual defeat. It's pretty obvious he's salty about the whole thing, and is feeling super frustrated. Staring up at the giant screen, our guy promises himself that next time, he's totally clutching the win against that monster. With his mind still stuck on the game, he distractedly crosses the street. Out of nowhere, an out-of-control truck comes blasting its horn at crazy high speeds. With zero time to react, he realizes he's about to catch the worst kind of surprise. After the brutal crash, our guy wakes up all bruised in the snow, hearing some robotic voice. Trying to figure out what's going on, he hears an alert saying his HP is at a critically low level. Still super confused, he looks at his own busted hand and wonders if that voice is just the game acting up. Struggling big time, the young guy stands up and recognizes this freezing wasteland as a zone right out of Palladia. This leaves him totally mind blown, because he vividly remembers logging out of the server before the accident. Right at that moment, the mother of all headaches hits him. Memories of a young tribal warrior named Alvin start flooding his brain all at once. Processing everything, he realizes he somehow got a Zakite as a character in that exact world. The name instantly rings a bell, reminding him of a certain reclusive NPC from the northern lands. Determined to figure out his new setup, Alvin demands the system pull up his interface. The screen confirms his worst fears, showing absolutely trash stats and zero log out button. He figures out this week's starter build is just part of the grind for a hidden class in the game. The panel shows off a special core reformulation talent that totally catches his eye. This basically means his current body has a super rare trait with crazy potential to level up. Looking over the old patch notes, the MC notices the character has a super versatile mixed talent pool. Then it finally clicks. He's taken over the role of the descendant of some forgotten legend. In the original lore, this exact kid would end up becoming one of the most unhinged bosses in future updates. Finding out he inherited the title of a powerful titan leaves Alvin doing some heavy overthinking. But he punches the air, refusing the storyline where he just stays a beat up kid freezing in the snow. After all, this world is about to go through some chaotic disasters and massive server-wide wars. In this wild new era, only the top-tier players are going to survive the catastrophic events. Keeping that in mind, the MC promises he's going to grind hard just to keep breathing. Starting his run across the white desert, he remembers a totally brutal cold front is about to drop. The harsh weather conditions already make every single step a massive struggle for his busted body. Even running on fumes, he pushes forward, hyper-focused on purifying his bloodline and rewriting his destiny. Just by making it through this brutal winter, Alvin will get his shot at unlocking some serious power. Scoping out the distances, step 1 is hitting up a hunter's cabin to loot some basic supplies. The game plan is to dodge the worst of the blizzard and then link up with a safe caravan on the trade routes. His ultimate goal is to hitch a ride to the central hub city, where all the main story arcs actually kick off. There, he can jump into the main questline and secure a defense heavy class that he knows like the back of his hand. This rising power, capable of forging the ultimate tank armor, would be his golden ticket to staying safe. But out of nowhere, a sudden noise kills the silence and grabs his attention. Alvin stops dead in his tracks, noticing some highly suspicious movement nearby. Without skipping a beat, he dives into the deep snow to stay out of sight. Staying as low to the ground as possible, the young guy scopes out the area looking super paranoid. This wasn't a standard route for NPCs or travelers, which just makes him even more suspicious. Over on the icy horizon, tiny silhouettes start rushing in fast, kicking up a ton of snow. Up ahead, some mystery figure is running for their life while riding this massive ostrich-looking bird. Right behind them, a squad of dark knights is spamming spells from their mounts. The runaway barely manages to swerve and dodge a direct explosive hit. Watching the whole thing go down in silence, the MC analyzes the scene with total veteran energy. He figures out that those undead rides belong exclusively to the local VIPs and nobility. The wild goose chase stays relentless as more magic blasts tear through the sky. Zooming in on the girl, Alvin recognizes the future empress of that magical kingdom. Since she doesn't seem to be ruling the server yet, he pinpoints exactly what part of the timeline he's in. The guys chasing her are way too high level for him to even think about partying right now. Fully aware of the crazy danger, our guy keeps his head glued to the floor, deciding his best play is to stay invisible. Still laying flat in the deep snow, Alvin tries his best to literally not exist while the chase flies right past him. Close by, one of the Dark Knights asks if they should capture the target, but the squad leader shoots that idea down immediately. Riding their blue flame beasts, the hunters push forward ruthlessly across the frozen wasteland. With a super clean move, one of the Dark Warriors jumps off his ride, prepping a direct slam. But right before he can stick the landing, a random hand pops out of nowhere and totally grabs his ankle. Caught completely off guard, the mystery guy is left wondering what in the world just happened. With one savage pull, the MC snatches the enemy out of the air and body, slams him straight into the snow. Popping out of his hiding spot, Alvin pops his barbarian rage skill, maxing out his strength. Spooked by the sudden lag spike, another knight warns the squad that they've got a random intruder. Charging in with his dagger, the young guy calls them out for being cowards and hurting an innocent mount. The enemy's face is pure shock seeing how ridiculously fast the attack was. Pinning the target down, Alvin trash talks the whole squad, showing zero chill about their cheap tactics. Watching his guy get packed up, the troop leader loses it and orders his team to end the kid. While eating punches, the pinned soldier whines that the kid is attacking his own server mates. Ignoring the yapping, the warrior keeps up the heavy pressure while scanning the crazy high defense stats of this enemy race. Way over there, the giant ground bird lets out a sad squawk, finally giving out from all the damage. Unable to stay up, the poor animal crashes into the snow, taking the princess down with it. Seeing that, the hunter boss orders the rest of his squad to focus on the main target while he handles the random noob. Staring the kid down, the guy mocks him, asking if he isn't embarrassed to be a high-born acting like a total barbarian. With a quick kick, the MC punts away the injured soldier he had in a chokehold. The system UI quickly pops up, showing that these enemies have totally different power tiers based on their bloodline. Reading the room, Alvin realizes he's dealing with a high-tier mini-boss commanding a bunch of grunts. Tired of the yapping, the commander rushes in hot, promising to send him back to the lobby real quick. Spamming his high-speed stats, the guy unleashes a flurry of sword strikes while telling the kid to deal with it. Barely dodging the blade, the warrior admits to himself that things almost went south right there. Getting super cocky, the leader taunts our guy, daring him to actually pull out his weapon. Instead of doing that, the MC just clenches his fist with literally everything he's got left. The enemy's face drops in genuine panic when he realizes what the kid is about to do. Taking advantage of the opening, Alvin totally ignores his own defense and lands a devastating punch right on the guy. Thanks to the rage mode canceling out pain, he tanks the recoil and sends the boss flying across the snow. Catching his breath after the hit, the young guy roasts the current nobles for having literally zero real PvP experience. Meanwhile, the girl hoists a massive rock over the last downed hunter, telling him to never underestimate her people. Without hesitating, she smashes the rock down to make sure that enemy stays logged off for good. Startled by the brutal finisher, the MC throws his hands up and takes back what he just said about nobles. As the dust settles, he breaks the bad news to the girl that her ride is definitely not respawning. Panicking, the young girl drops everything and runs over, crying out her loyal buddy's name. She hugs the giant yellow feathered bird, looking absolutely heartbroken. Slowly, the animal closes its eyes for good, accepting its fate after keeping its owner safe. Holding back tears, she wishes her awesome partner a peaceful rest in the frozen lands. Just watching from a distance, Alvin respectfully gives the girl her moment of silence. Wiping her tears, she walks up to our guy, drops a huge thank you, and officially introduces herself as Freya. Deep down, the young guy is just thinking about how her innocent vibe completely clashes with the absolute menace she becomes later. Catching him staring, the girl gets a bit weirded out and asks what he's looking at. Trying to play it cool, the warrior makes up an excuse that he just remembered something super important. Without elaborating, he just sprints toward the defeated boss's loot drop, leaving the princess completely confused. Smiling like he just hit the jackpot, the MC starts looting the enemy, muttering about how much cash those items will fetch. Snatching the shiny rings, he shows zero mercy to the hunter, who is still weakly trying to fight back. Super curious about her savior, Freya walks over and asks for his name and where he dropped in from. Pocketing his new loot, our guy introduces himself as Alvin, making it clear he's a local from the northern zones. The princess's eyes go wide, instantly recognizing his title as the legendary First Blessed Son. Actually impressed, the young guy admits he wasn't expecting her to know the super old lore of the region. Changing the subject to get a read on the storyline, he straight up asks who those guys trying to jump her were. Dropping her tone to serious mode, she reveals she's the first princess of the Arend Kingdom, even though she expects him to cap. Freya explains she got totally ambushed while heading to her graduation event at the Royal Academy. Confused by her map rutting, Alvin asks how she ended up so ridiculously far from her own kingdom's borders. Staring out at the icy horizon, the girl replies she had to detour this far out just to dodge the real trap. Her kingdom has always been notorious for heavily maining dark magic, which basically earned their ruler the Demon King title. Back in the day, the people of Arend were just a nomad tribe with insane healing stats that ended up getting banished. To survive the aggro mobs in their new zone, they ditched the healing builds and started modding their own bodies with magic. Over time, this wild obsession spawned absolutely ruthless warriors who play around with bones and souls, aka the dreaded necromancers. This constant bizarre updating eventually unlocked a hidden ritual that can completely overhaul the human body. Ever since then, the server's elite became super weird, hiding their literal monster skins under heavy cloaks. Unlike the VIPs, the regular folks get cheap, mass-produced body mods, mixing animal parts just to be better workers. Listening to the lore drop, the kid thinks about how this innocent princess is totally gonna start a massive revolution against that entire system one day. Snapping back to reality, the girl keeps staring off into space while the cold wind messes up her hair. Super invested in the escape story, the MC asks her to drop more details about what this real trap actually was. The young girl explains that the first squad was just bait to force her to run straight into the capital, where a whole army was camping for her. Peeping the setup, she ditched her bodyguards and took a totally different path through these middle of nowhere lands. Gripping her clothes, Freya looks super stressed about thinking she could solo that entire aggro squad. Our guy just watches quietly, shocked to see such a soft side to the girl who is supposed to become the continent's biggest tyrant. Bothered by him zoning out, she snaps and asks if he's even listening to the story. The princess even thinks about dropping the name of the mastermind, but notices he already looks like he knows exactly who it is. Without saying a word, the warrior just bends down and grabs the defeated enemy's cape real tight. Dragging the dude through the snow, he tosses him right at the girl's feet, totally jump, scaring her. Staring the prisoner down, Alvin demands to know exactly how many players in the kingdom unlock the rituals of that hidden bloodline. The princess explains there are 12 noble families beefing with her, but highly doubts they'd go as far as trying to cancel royalty. Stepping hard on the downed enemy's head, Alvin tells her she's forgetting a massive player in this game. Totally lost, Freya asks who exactly he's talking about. The MC drops the bomb that it's the necromancers, asking the guy on the floor if he wants to fact-check that. The soldier's eyes bug out, completely shook that his stealth build got exposed that easily. Coughing up a lung from the damage, the hunter mutters that he never expected his cover to get blown like that. Right then, this crazy dark aura starts pouring out of his body as he struggles to get up. Spotting the magic signs and bone manipulation, the girl recognizes the Hippocratic school's signature, shook that a grand mage of theirs is out here. The guy claps for the princess's big brain, sarcastically praising her for always being the class nerd. With a snap of his fingers, he reveals they got high-level funding to prep a solid backup plan. A massive glowing magic circle pops up on the ground while he pities how close she got to escaping. Right then, the mage's actual body starts ripping itself apart from the inside out. All the flesh melting away makes room for this absolutely terrifying bone structure that bursts out. A giant, blood-soaked skeleton warrior stands up looking like absolute nightmare fuel in the middle of the snow. Flexing his true necromancer form, the mage claims it would be a waste to get his own hands dirty dealing with such a gifted kid. Staring down that freaky creature, the future empress is literally paralyzed by fear. But Alvin steps right in front of her, telling her to chill out, because he's about to have a little chat with the monster. Dropping into a fighting stance, the young guy apologizes for cutting in and notes that the enemy is only rocking level 4 stats. The mage admits there's a big level gap, laughing at why this random barbarian thinks he has any chance. Keeping his cool, the MC fires back that he was literally just asking for the lore. In a blur, he dashes over to the princess and scoops her up tight. Holding the girl like a football, the warrior jokes, asking if the guy forgot that barbarians have the highest movement speed when running away. With an explosive jump, Alvin dips at max speed, leaving the bone head mage totally in the dust. The necromancer starts raging, completely confused about how the kid knew his giant skeleton wasn't fully loaded in yet. Mauling over the disrespect, he commands the massive creature to go hunt down that annoying barbarian. The bone monster lets out a terrifying roar as it charges up its sprint. Taking off like a rocket, the freakish thing chases the duo, kicking up a massive snowstorm. Running as fast as his stamina allows, Alvin taunts back, yelling that a level 4 scrub isn't even worth his time. Magic energy blasts start raining down from the sky straight at the runners. Flexing insane agility stats, our guy dodges the explosive AoE attacks while keeping the princess safe. During the intense chase, the mage screams to know who the kid actually is, and how he knows so much about necromancy builds. Alvin just hits him with the classic sarcasm, saying he's literally just a local barbarian passing through. The giant monster does this crazy high jump, with the villain yelling for it to send those secrets straight to the lobby. A super toxic green energy starts charging up heavy inside the bone creature's mouth. The necromancer is prepping his ultimate death ray attack, planning to wipe them both in one shot. Recognizing the crazy high tier spell, Freya goes into full panic mode thinking it's game over. Trying to balance the weight mid-air, the MC grabs the princess firmly by the leg and thigh, telling her to stop squirming. Her face turns bright red, calling him a creep and yelling about where he's putting his hands. Ignoring the whining, Alvin does a sick backflip while the enemy fires the giant laser from above. With laser focus, the young guy counts the exact frames until the spell hits its peak animation. At the absolute perfect second, he claims the boss is way too slow and spawns a light crossbow right on his arm. A heavy armor-piercing bolt gets fired at ridiculous speed straight at the airborne target. The shot hits with aimbot precision, landing right inside the freak's mouth while it was charging the attack. The impact causes a massive chain reaction explosion in the sky, totally canceling the enemy's ultimate. Losing all stability, the skeleton boss drops out of the sky and face plants hard into the frozen dirt, sticking a safe landing way outside the blast zone. Our guy casually announces they are finally out of the red zone. Still trying to process the insane trick shot, the princess asks what in the world just happened. The monster tries to reboot while the salty mage swears he's gonna remember that cheap shot forever. Far away from that frozen nightmare, the massive capital of Erend wakes up to some seriously heavy rain. Inside the aesthetic spring palace, the Demon King's crib is bustling with activity. A young guy with pink hair is stressed, walking super fast down the huge castle hallways. He barges into the throne room, dropping the report that the princess's location is still completely offline. Dropping to his knees on the red carpet, the prince literally begs to lead the knights on a rescue raid. The king, just chilling in bed, instantly denies the request, saying the royal guard is absolutely not leaving the base. The young dude gets super triggered by his dad's cold vibe, asking if his sister wasn't the literal VIP heir. Coughing up a storm, the ruler argues that the main hub can't just crash if something bad happens to her. The king lays down the law, saying the server needs a backup ready to take the throne at any second. Realizing his sister just got completely abandoned by their own dad, the prince looks up, accepting the harsh reality. Looking totally defeated, he walks back out of the room, leaving the old ruler alone in his quarters. The exact second his kid leaves, the king drops this super creepy villain smile mid-cuff. Staring at an old royal family portrait, the prince wonders where his favorite sister actually ended up. Cutting back to the north, a massive explosion echoes in the distance, showing the threat is gone. The MC lets out a huge sigh of relief for losing the aggro, joking that he totally thought the bad guys would try harder. Super suspicious of his totally broken skills, Freya gets up in his face demanding to know his real username. Sweating bullets from the girl's pressure, he tries one more time to push the "I'm just a normal barbarian" excuse. The princess calls Cap immediately, pointing out that true locals hate that word and call themselves northerners. Stomping through the snow, she keeps interrogating him about how a random wild warrior would know top-tier dark magic. Out of options, Alvin tells her to hold up, making up a story that some ancient god whispered the meta into his ear. The future tyrant drops a massive sigh at the obvious lie, but decides to let it slide for now. Holding the edges of her outfit, the girl does a formal bow, dropping a massive thank you for the double revive. She proudly flexes that her rich noble family is definitely gonna drop some heavy loot to pay him back. Suddenly, a huge gust of wind blows the princess's skirt up, right in front of the totally stunned warrior. The MC literally can't look away and accidentally blurts out that her underwear is white. Dying of embarrassment, Freya aggressively holds her skirt down and screams at the creep to stop looking. Scratching his face looking super awkward, Alvin tries to invent some awful excuse that he was talking about the snow. With zero time to waste, the MC scoops up the princess and starts sprinting while a massive avalanche drops right behind them. Glancing back, he sees the literal disaster closing in fast and knows he can't drop his speed stats at all. Holding the girl tight, the young guy goes full sprint across the ice, yelling that they have to keep running like crazy. The chaotic escape ends up funneling them straight into this old, abandoned hunter's shack hidden in the snowy mountains. Inside, the vibe is way more cozy and safe, with a pot just casually boiling over the lit fireplace. Chilling by the fire to get their HP back up, the warrior takes a sec to dish out some hot food. Handing the bowl to Freya, he bluntly asks what her actual game plan was for soloing those 3 mobs. For an answer, the princess holds out her closed fist toward the guy and tells him to get a good look at her inventory. Flexing a super rare gemstone scroll, she totally shocks the kid when he realizes that item would have one-shotted the enemies. Confirming she was carrying heavy artillery, the young girl changes the subject, wanting to know exactly why the necromancers want her cancelled. Sipping his soup like it's nothing, Alvin says it's hard to be 100% sure, but suggests they look at who actually gets a buff from her downfall. Looking super depressed, the royal heir drops her head, admitting her own brother Otto would secure the biggest win. Hearing that, the MC mentally pictures that pink-haired prince who is famous for having a super weird sense of fashion. But he quickly warns the girl not to fall for the fake-out, since Otto winning would just be a massive illusion. Totally agreeing, the princess claims her brother literally doesn't have the guts to pull off a raid that crazy against her. Standing up near the fire, the young guy explains that with the Demon King's HP dropping, a third party would end up taking full control. Connecting the dots, the girl looks terrified and asks if this hidden threat is actually the Necromancer Guild. Going into full panic mode, she jumps up, saying she needs to fast travel back to the main city right this second. Stirring the pot, the warrior warns that leaving the safe zone right now is just throwing, since the blizzard outside would freeze her in seconds. Totally stressed about the situation, the princess insists she can't just AFK while her home base gets griefed. Flashing a confident smile, he explains the storm will pass soon and just her being alive is already messing up the bad guys' speedrun. Noticing how chill the guy is, the hare steps closer, asking if he actually has a strat to fix this mess. Giving the young girl a side, the MC declares that just making it back to the capital in one piece is the first massive W for her. Hearing this straight up logic leaves the girl doing some heavy thinking about her next plays. Wasting no time, she stands tall and declares she needs a top-tier carry by her side to block this whole conspiracy. Reaching out her hand looking super regal, the princess officially offers a party invite to the warrior for the sake of her future reign. But the guy hits decline immediately, arguing he's got his own main quest and isn't planning on staying in her server. Keeping a straight face, he remembers perfectly that any contract with her kingdom's royalty is basically a permanent account lock. Salty about the rejection, Freya complains about being hard stuck, while the MC just watches her stress out. Refusing to take the L, she admits she's broke on land and gold right now, but offers herself as the ultimate reward if he joins her squad. Hearing a deal that wild, the young guy literally chokes on his drink from pure shock. Waving his hands like a madman, he tries to clear the awkwardness, swearing he just wants to unlock a specific secret ritual from her kingdom. Calming down, the princess accepts the trade deal with a few strings attached and asks if he already knows the crafting recipe. Pacing around the dark cabin, the guy mentions the skill tree is way too complex to just explain out loud. Focusing his mana super fast, he starts making his fingertips glow with this crazy intense blue light. The magic flares up, proving the warrior's got some ultra-rare stats way beyond your average local brawler. Right then, the MC pops his hidden core reformulation buff that completely covers his character model. Using the system UI, he lets the ancient, crucial memories of his avatar load in with perfect HD clarity. Glowing with that tech aura, Alvin doubles down on his vow to uncover the real lore behind the disaster that wiped his original spawn point. Outside, the chill cabin stays totally off the grid in the freezing weather, hiding the massive lore drops happening inside. Back inside, the Elren hair is absolutely starstruck seeing this top-tier magic happening right in her face. The kid projects a massive holographic tutorial screen, casually asking if the young girl can read the code. Scanning the projected grocery list, he points out the crafting mats are going to be crazy expensive on the black market, especially the dragon blood. Checking out how wild the build is, the girl questions his endgame, since that kind of power is definitely not meant for a pacifist run. Smiling, he argues that the meta itself isn't good or evil, and reminds her she's currently just a nerd, not some absolute tyrant. Catching the warrior's Sigma grind set, the princess switches to a try-hard mode to actually learn the forbidden tech. Standing in front of the glowing screen, she drops a sacred bloodline oath to literally never leak this exploit to anyone. Thinking all the roleplay was a bit much, the MC comments that she really didn't need to be so dramatic about it. 3 days pass and the map totally changes to the massive, super crowded Gates of Flanders, the famous trade hub. Right at the spawn point, a massive cow, dude merchant aggressively yells at everyone to get out of his wagon's way. Just taking in the view, Alvin quietly analyzes the insane player density of this zone packed with crazy races. He thinks about how the cheap body mods on the kingdom's NPCs look way cooler in real life than they did in the old game engine. Pushing through the packed streets, the guy is still mind blown by how crazy real and alive this fantasy server is. Walking right next to him, the princess is rocking a basic commoner skin to stay low-key. Looking super relieved they finally made it. With the kid now wearing a hood and cloak to hide his gamer tag, the duo walks through the giant stone plaza packed with shops. Noticing his duo is completely distracted looking at the loot stands, he taps her, telling her to focus up on the main objective. Leaning into the girl's shoulder, the warrior whispers for her to play it super safe because someone is currently tracking them. Trying to act casual in the middle of the crowd, Freya asks all panicked if their stealth build already got exposed. Keeping a total poker face under his dark hood, the young guy assures her they haven't hit the fail state just yet. Using his veteran game sense, he points out that the visible stalkers are just low-level bait distracting them from the actual elite hunters camping nearby. Checking the threat level, the guy honestly admits his current gear isn't enough to carry her safely through this. Realizing they need some buffs, the princess shows her tiny bag of gold, stressing over how broke they are. Giving her a friendly head pat, Alvin tells the young girl to chill, because he knows some solid money glitches. The hunt for the black market entrance zeroes in on the busy plaza, where some pigeons are just chilling by a water fountain. Right next to the stone structure, a guy in a hat selling bird food is offering his stuff for dirt cheap. Trusting his meta-knowledge, the MC walks up to the sketchy vendor and drops a super-specific dialogue option as a password. Instantly, the undercover NPC changes his whole vibe and shoots a super suspicious glare from under his wide brim. Without causing a scene in the packed hub, the guy asks straight up who they are and what their quest is. Alvin hits him with another complex lore password, feeling super nostalgic using these old cheat codes. Standing there, Freya is totally lost listening to this weird encrypted chat, trying to figure out how this connects to the dark web. Still playing it super safe, the informant demands the kid's ID, since noobs without a referral link get auto-banned. Keeping his chill swagger, the warrior plays along and hints that he might be a high-ranking mod for the syndicate. The vendor stands up from the stone bench, scans the duo, and roasts them, saying they don't look like they have the premium currency. Flashing a sly smile, the guy corrects the NPC, firmly stating he's definitely not here to buy anything. With a snap of his fingers triggering his special core magic, he literally spawns a massive, glowing raw gemstone right in his hand. The red jewel glows super bright in the MC's palm, totally flexing his high-tier magic stats. Showing off the shiny loot, the kid calmly asks if that's enough to prove their account value. The disguised informant's jaw drops when he sees the absolutely insane rarity of the item glowing in his face. Doing a total 180, the guy bows with respect and apologizes, saying their default skins totally threw him off. Wasting no time, the guide escorts them through a heavily guarded secret tunnel, warning them not to draw aggro in these zones. Arriving at the night market, he welcomes the esteemed alchemists and promises they'll find the drops they need here. Scoping the underground map, the young guy stays locked in, scanning the area's security setup. The massive illegal hub turns out to be packed with players walking through well-lit streets inside a giant cave. They quickly pull up to a super popular tavern called Golden Light, the exact waypoint the guide gave them. Stopping at the door, the informant tips them off that some VIP inside is hiring alchemists for some serious cash, then dips. Chilling at the tavern bar, Freya asks if it isn't super sus that people with this job are doing quests in the black market. Sipping his drink, Alvin agrees the hustle is banned, but points out that the massive paychecks usually make people ignore the rules. Right then, a beefy guy with an eye patch walks up, greeting them super nicely and apologizing for the queue time. Curious about the kid's low level, The veteran asks which player actually carried him through the tutorial so early. Without missing a beat, the MC straight up lies that he studied under the legendary Edward Elric in a far-off server and is just traveling for the XP. To prove his stats, the young guy drops a mind-blowing magic showcase, leaving the dealer totally amazed. Inspecting the potion flask up close, the guy praises the craft, swearing he's never seen such an optimized build before. Super hyped about the find, the vet gives a slight bow and invites the duo upstairs to the VIP testing room. The party walks in silence up a long wooden staircase, heading to the much more private top floor of the shady tavern. At the lab door, the host promises not to mess with their run and tells them the entry fees are on the house. Stepping into the isolated lab, the princess mentions she's literally never heard of that master, and the warrior bluntly admits it's just an anime reference. Shook by his absolute audacity, the girl asks how he can just drop a crazy lie like that without getting instantly exposed. Ignoring her panic, he calculates the quest will drop some heavy loot and tells his duo to prep the crafting menu. Pacing the room, Freya asks how he even plans to clear this quest using a fake gamer tag. Smirking, the MC pops his hidden reformulation buff, promising he's got the whole strat totally under control. 2 solid hours tick by inside that locked room while the super complex mystery trial goes down offline. Finally walking out, the young guy hands over the completed quest items along with a massive shopping list for old Jabba to fetch. Super grateful, the dealer swears he'll drop ship everything to the guild's public lab before the server even hits nighttime. Shaking on the deadline, the guy says his goodbyes as the duo heads back out into the crowded streets. The veteran watches the pros leave and decides it's time to get back to his own grinding. Walking the streets with his squad, Jabba mentions how the basic maid managed to totally paralyze him with just one death glare. Right then, a grump sneaks up and drops the intel that the royal assassins are hunting for a duo exactly like them from the ice zones. The eye patch dealer connects the dots instantly and orders them to ping the boss. Knowing these mystery clients are worth crazy bounty money, still replaying the interaction, he mentally confirms that the girl's aura definitely gave off major main character energy. The sidekick backs up the theory, noting that all the duo's stats match perfectly with the Crown's wanted posters. Locking in the greedy strat, the vet rushes his minion to make sure the guild leader hears about this golden ticket ASAP. Far away from that shoddy market, the massive alchemist guild flexes on the city with its giant classic architecture. Inside the hub, the MC checks the delivered mats and gets salty that the broker couldn't score any dragon blood. Without saying a word, the princess pulls out a sharp metal dagger, looking super determined to clutch up. Spotting his duo about to do something crazy, the guy gets nervous and asks if she's really gonna full send it. With a super quick swipe, the young girl slices her own arm without flinching, ready to use her royal bloodline as a cheat code. The premium high HP fluid drips straight into a tiny glass lab vial. Holding up the ultra rare sample, she drops a confident smile and asks if that's enough mana for the crazy ritual. Seriously impressed by her absolute zero fear energy, the warrior nods and asks what his role is in the crafting phase. With a heavy thud, a massive, thick rulebook full of ancient magic code gets slammed onto the crafting table. The princess says she needs a minute to mix the pots and tells her teammate to start memorizing the insane vocabulary for the spell. Thinking this is absolute sleeper content, the guy walks away complaining that the local NPCs always make the mechanics way too tedious. Chilling on the sofa, he starts skimming the giant manual, trying to learn the meta behind this highly dangerous strat. Suddenly, the warrior's head snaps up, looking totally mind-blown after reading a massive lore drop in the guide. Across the huge room, the hair is fully in the zone, using her magic to tweak glowing materials. You can literally see the sweat on her face as she tries to balance the super unstable chemistry of the potion. Watching from the sidelines, the MC respects the absolute top-tier talent she has for late-game alchemy. 3 massive hours just melt away in the quiet lab, tracked only by a candle burning all the way down. A giant green transmutation circle covers the entire floor, with a rectangular tank sitting right in the dead center. Wiping the sweat off her tired face, the young girl sighs in relief, confirming the massive magic prep is finally at 100%. Walking up to the glowing setup, the guy asks if it's really safe to run this build on his body without a practice run first. But right after, he drops a genuine smile, swearing he completely trusts his duo's insanely broken skills. The internal system scans the crazy floor puzzle and confirms to the warrior that the princess optimized the code perfectly. Returning the good vibes, she tells him to trust his own base stats to tank the brutal debuffs of the spell. With zero hesitation, the white-haired kid turns around and starts unequipping his chest armor. Flexing a super stacked physique, the warrior turns back and hypes up that he's totally ready to hit start. Absolutely dying of embarrassment, The princess covers her completely red face and asks why he's acting so shameless. Telling the girl to just look away for a sec, the MC keeps unequipping the rest of his gear without caring at all. Now just in his underwear, he stands backwards while the young girl starts literally drawing coarse spell code on his skin. The rune layout on the kid's back starts glowing crazy bright, confirming the mystic links are successfully connected. Walking toward the glowing tub, he hears the princess confirm she already cast the water breathing buff on him. Super carefully, the young guy steps into the green liquid, instantly feeling the heavy raw energy packed inside. Watching him slowly get in, the hare admits she's actually getting pretty stressed about this whole raid. Dunking his body in the juice, the MC tells her to chill out, because he queued up for this extreme difficulty run himself. Going fully under, his face sinks as his system waits for the totally violent boot up sequence. The warrior's avatar just floats there at the bright bottom, while the princess tries to keep her own mental health stable outside. Out of nowhere, an absolute hurricane of pure emerald energy starts spinning violently around the body inside. The magic recoil is so heavy that the kid's glowing eyes pop open in absolute panic mode. To his total horror, his literal soul gets aggressively yanked out of his physical model, hovering right above the tank. Floating in the ghost zone staring at a holographic menu, he freaks out realizing he has to manually rebuild his own anatomy. Staring at the floating UI, the MC realizes all his gaming hours definitely didn't prep him for doing literal surgery. The stress peaks when he sees how insanely high the stakes are. Knowing that going AFK means a permanent game over, he glares at the ticking timer and locks in. Without hesitating, he taps the heart icon, dropping the fact that installing a dual core heart is required to keep his HP regen going. Seeing the organ light up red on the screen, the kid celebrates the massive W as his strat works flawlessly. Swiping through the menace like a pro, he starts booting up the nervous, digestive, and respiratory systems back to back. Mind blown by the customizer options, the warrior gets hyped seeing he can even equip a literal tank shell to his new body. The screen shows off his brand new, heavily armored, and totally buffed character model. But then the timer suddenly hits 0, hard locking the operation menu. Super salty about the bonus stats pop-up, Alvin yells that he wasn't even done maxing his build yet. Back in the real-world lab, the princess watches her duo's body flashing crazy bright inside the green juice. Shook by the insane results, she admits she didn't expect the patched matrix to be that broken, noting the kid's crazy RNG luck. The warrior stays totally submerged, just chilling and breathing in the magic liquid. Suddenly, heavy banging on the door totally ruins the quiet vibe of the locked room. Spooked by the random knock, Freya whips around asking who the heck is out there at this hour. Out in the hall, the knocking just keeps going like crazy. Holding his hat, the one-eyed dealer fake apologizes for crashing the party, claiming there was a dumb bug in their recent inventory. Playing it cool, the young girl yells back that the master is busy crafting, while mentally checking that her magic wards picked up a whole squad in the hall. Thinking fast, the princess casts a heavy defense spell that spawns massive roots to totally block the door. Channeling her arcane mana, she instantly starts the casting sequence for a level 1 summon. A giant glowing portal ring pops open, floating right in the middle of the dark room. Out of it, just this tiny little orb of light floats into the air. Thanking the little guy for answering the ping, the girl asks it to battery her mana back up. The glowing orb shoots straight into her chest, instantly refilling her stamina bar for the upcoming boss fight. While thick vines cover the windows, the dealer's voice echoes again, aggressively demanding to speak to the kid-ass ape. Ignoring the toxic chat outside, the hare charges even more power and spams her summon skills back to back. An ice bear, a lightning wolf, and a water elemental spawn looking absolutely majestic to hold the fort. Pushing her aura to the absolute max, she hovers inside giant arcane rings, charging her ultimate skill. The princess pops a tier 5 ability specifically meant to drop a heavy, hitting lesser planar ally. A massive flash of holy light blinds the room as a celestial warrior girl spawns from the portal. The epic angel steps out flexing huge white wings, totally ready to throw down. Hugging the princess from behind looking super soft, the holy warrior swears total loyalty and says she's ready to carry. Right next to them, the magic beasts get into attack formation, just waiting for the green light. Out in the hall, the dealer completely loses his cool and orders his 2 biggest tanks to breach the door. Following orders, one of the massive goons charges and throws his whole hitbox against the solid wood, but hitting it triggers the energy shield, violently yeeting the invaders backwards. Flat on their backs, the thugs complain about how incredibly busted the defense magic is. Raging over the massive fail, the squad leader orders his team to glitch through the door by any means necessary. Pulling out heavy axes and wooden clubs, the mob raises their gear to force their way in. They start spamming heavy attacks against the plant shield, with literally everything they have. Inside, huge cracks start breaking the sealed vine structure. Keeping the girl close, the angel jokes that she finally remembered to summon her, flexing their old promise to keep the kids safe. Cutting the wholesome moment short, Freya begs the summon to pass the message about the king's low HP to her mom if she gets unsummoned. Realizing things are getting serious, the celestial ally nods and swears to deliver the intel. Exactly then, the door finally breaks and the aggro squad rushes the lab, stumbling inside. Strapped with full gear, the thugs glare into the room looking absolutely feral. Their jaws hit the floor when they lock eyes with the massive boss, level summons waiting for them. Sweating pure fear, the dealer is mind blown, yelling about how these monsters got here, when the bounty was just for 2 basic noobs. Wasting zero time, the angel pings the magic beasts to rush the squad. Totally panicking, the thugs scream while trying to hold back the absolute steamroll of monsters. Triggered by the disrespect, the giant polar bear lands a critical hit on one of the attackers. Right behind it, the water elemental blasts the rest of the squad with high-pressure jets, sending them all flying. Realizing they totally walked into a death trap, the leader tells the survivors to log off and run for their lives. But the high-speed electric wolf easily catches up and corners the dealer, hard locking his escape route. Shaking while pulling a tiny knife, the eye patch guy begs for his life, promising to drop premium treats for the dog. The beast just answers with an angry, static, charged bark. With a lethal lunge, the wolf lands a massive bite right on the coward's leg. Face-palming super hard, the celestial warrior scolds the princess, telling her to actually take the fight seriously since it's not over. Out of nowhere, a creepy voice echoes in the lab, claiming that little Freya got stolen by a dirty barbarian. The freaky warning makes both the angel and the hare whip around in shock toward the glowing tank. Scanning the runes, the angel spots the royal blood requirement and grills the girl about exactly how close she is with this random guy. Trying to defuse the super awkward moment, the young girl swears things are definitely not what they look like. The MC is still completely AFK, just soaking up the heal buffs inside the glass tube. Looking at her duo with total relief, the princess admits he's become a totally top-tier friend to her. The warrior's fully patched body just floats there, chilling in the thick green water. Stressing over the incoming boss phase, the hare practically prays in her head that he finishes his reboot ASAP. The piece is totally shattered when horrific screams start coming from the busted hallway. Looking back terrified, the girl tries to figure out what kind of broken AoE skill just wiped the invaders. The whole party locks their eyes on the dark entrance of the lab. Outside, the downed thugs literally get their HP drained to zero, swallowed up by this terrifying black aura. Shielding the princess, the angel realizes that instant kill trap was placed earlier, figuring out the real villain is trying to get them banned for griefing. Casually stepping over the deleted bodies, a creepy hooded guy pops up at the door, saying what's up to his old academy classmate. The girl's face drops in genuine shock hearing that super familiar villain voice. Locking eyes with the glowing red pupils under the hood, she instantly recognizes the high threat mage Kayan Paulus. Knowing the worst-case scenario just dropped, the future Empress demands to know if him being there confirms the necromancers went full rogue. Mocking the whole vibe, Kayan pulls down his hood and jokes that this is just a fun little reunion, acting totally clueless about the treason stuff. The angel detects the massive danger level and tells Freya to stay hyper, focused against the toxic aura taking over the room. Hearing that, the mage complains that the holy warrior wants to leak the truth too fast, admitting he hates playing front line. A massive wave of dark energy floods the room as a shadow skeleton spawns right in the middle of the lab. The princess spots the soul manipulation code and realizes in horror that the villain actually hit level 2 in the necromancer skill tree. The bad guy flexes his new stats, whining about how much a low-tier player like him had to grind to unlock this power. Skipping the dialogue, he decides to let his moves talk and starts charging up a heavy dark spell. The dense, toxic magic spins crazy fast, whipping up a heavy storm right around him. Giving the hare an absolute death stare, Kayan claims his broken build cost him literally everything. Reacting to the aggro, the Celestial preps a super bright light spell right on her fingertips. Stepping up as the main tank, the Guardian orders the beast summons to keep the princess alive no matter what. Hearing the shock call, the giant polar bear and the lightning wolf rush in super aggressive for the melee clash. The ice tank throws a heavy punch trying to break the enemy summon's guard, but the clash just turns into a massive stat check, while the necromancer literally just stands there laughing. A huge purple energy blast nukes the area, completely canceling the bear's attack animation. Failing the stat check, the magic beast gets violently yeeted across the room. Popping her majestic wings, the angel lands in front of the squad and perfectly parries the rest of the dark wave. Looking over her shoulder, the warrior promises she's going to hard carry her ally against all this trash. Nearby, the bear and wolf try to get back up, showing their stamina bars are heavily drained after that hit. Stressed about her pets, the princess tells them to fall back, warning that taking physical damage could mean a permanent game over for them. Once the massive smoke cloud clears out, Gabriel holds out her hand, confirming the shockwave is finally gone. The young noble squints, trying to see what the heck survived inside that black fog. A colossal, terrifying armored knight reveals itself, instantly recognized as the legendary underworld guard. Furious at her old classmate's toxic plays, Freya accuses the mage of cowardly burning innocent players' souls just to craft that monster. The villain just shrugs it off, arguing they were just low-level mobs anyway, and asks if royalty really cares about banned players. Triggered by the edge lord logic, the holy warrior fires back that griefing is still griefing no matter who's on the receiving end. Listening to the morality check, the mage sarcastically claps, saying that self-righteous script is perfect for an angel NPC. Suddenly, his chill vibe totally vanishes, replaced by a pure boss fight aura as he gets ready to actually try hard. Pointing aggressively, Kayan orders his pet to go absolutely feral and wipe the opposing team. Following the ping, the heavy iron tank charges in for a lethal strike, swinging its weapons with max strength. Jumping straight into the danger zone, the Celestial calls for backup while diving furiously at the giant mob. The deafening sound of metal clashing echoes as her glowing sword perfectly meets the dark weapons. Staying totally unbothered, the underworld guard pushes back, proving his melee stats are way too high for a 1v1. Getting crushed by that insane weight, the angel grits her teeth, realizing she's totally losing the stat check here. Dropping back to her support role, Freya charges up spells in her hands, calling out that she's throwing some DPS into the mix. A barrage of light blasts spams the monster's armor, and the Guardian thanks her for the clutch assist. Reading the nightmare scenario, the duo realizes it's literally impossible to target the necromancer while his giant meat shield is blocking the way. Tasting the easy dub, the villain trash talks the girl, saying her skill level is absolute trash for someone with a premium account. Scanning the corners, he looks for the annoying barbarian and jokes, asking if the kid went AFK out of fear. With the Iron Beast still body, blocking the entire lane, it's super obvious this sweaty match is nowhere near over. The mage keeps up the toxic chat, insisting that her pay to win royal buffs are completely useless in this lobby. Laughing at the missing warrior, Kayan doubles down, claiming the coward actually logged and left the girls to get wiped. Tuning out the yapping, the hare stares hard at the glowing tank, literally praying her duo finishes loading in right now. Clenching her fists in frustration, she decides if backup doesn't arrive in 5 seconds, she's gonna have to pull a totally suicidal play. Face-palming from laughing so hard, the enemy realizes the noble girl totally wasted her ultra-rare buff on some random free-to-play savage. The heavy tension shatters instantly when a massive cracking sound pops the thick glass of the magic tank. Kayan literally freezes in terror as a completely jacked arm punches straight through the glass right behind him. The mage's face is pure horror as his head gets violently grabbed before he can even press a button. Dropping all her stress, Freya flashes a massive smile of pure relief, seeing her carry reconnected at the absolute perfect frame. Still dripping with the healing juice, the warrior glares at the creature in the room and tells the necromancer to call off his pet, pinning the enemy to the floor with absolute broken strength. The kid demands a surrender while the villain screams for mercy. Even with the boss pinned, the brutal weapon clash between the holy angel and the giant puppet just keeps going. Terrified of getting his skull popped by the barbarian, Kayan screeches for the Iron Knight to stop the aggro. The lethal metal blade stops literally pixels away from the princess's face, leaving her totally paralyzed by the jump scare. Without letting go of the enemy's neck, the MC demands the lore on what exactly that massive freak is. Sweating pure fear, the mage explains it's just a borrowed item from his mentor for remote control, swearing the raid is over. The chill vibe lasts like 2 seconds before the underworld armor suddenly raises its weapons to attack again. Annoyed by the glitch, the warrior chokes the traitor even harder, demanding to know why the recall command failed. Kayan goes into full panic mode seeing his controller is broken, realizing his guild leaders decided to sacrifice him just to secure the kill on Freya. Dropping a feral roar, the killing machine resumes its brutal attack, proving that a much higher tier admin is pulling the strings now. Feeling the super hostile aggro in the room, the white-haired kid realizes he needs to speedrun this boss to deal with the real threat outside. Like it's absolutely nothing, he yeets the mage out of the way to clear the arena for the real fight. Sprinting like a demon at the iron monster, the kid screams at the puppet to stay exactly where it is. Ignoring the command, the dark freak lets out an angry roar, already winding up its heavy metal spears. Flexing his completely busted agility, the MC leaves purple afterimages as he closes the gap in literally 1 frame. Locking onto the target, the heavy armor drops a totally devastating overhead strike right at the kid. Seeing the one shot incoming, the princess screams in absolute panic, begging her duo to block. To everyone's absolute shock, the warrior just uses his bare arm to tank the full force of the massive weapon. The insane impact of iron on skin creates a huge burst of blue sparks, but literally doesn't even leave a scratch on the guy. Flexing pure Sigma energy, he laughs at the boss's confusion and drops the reveal that the ritual gave him totally indestructible, invisible armor. Punishing the missed attack, the guy grabs the spear handle and uses his broken strength stats to lift the entire creature off the ground. Yelling with pure hype, he flips the massive armor completely upside down in a move of pure disrespect. The underworld knight gets pile-driven face first into the stone floor, kicking up a massive dust cloud and wrecking the map. Finishing the combo flawlessly, the kid dusts his hands off like he just finished the tutorial. Flexing his MVP status, he looks at the terrified necromancer in the corner and calmly asks if the traitor has any more dialogue. Hard stuck in the corner, Kyan warns them not to pop the champagne yet, claiming his high-level mentor will drop in like 30 minutes. Literally 2 minutes later, the whole vibe flips completely. The MC casually walks out carrying a massive loot bag, actually surprised the enemy dropped such premium gear. Left standing there in just his underwear, the mage screams, calling the kid a literal griefer for stealing all his equipped items. Gabriel has zero clue why they didn't just ban the traitor, but Alvin explains that a toxic wildcard like him could be totally useful later. The squad quickly decides to dip from the wrecked lab and keep the main quest moving. Wasting no time, the kid smashes through the shop window, launching out while driving a crazy tech carriage. Taking the wheel, he hits the gas looking absolutely hyped, flying right next to them while carrying the princess. The angel struggles to keep up with the insane speed. Freya loses it and asks if the warrior even has the license for this crazy sci-fi ride. The Holy Guardian gets stressed too, asking if he actually knows how to drive the thing. Laughing it off, the guy admits he has literally zero clue and is skimming the tutorial manual right now. He holds up the paper, hyped to find out this is like a Tier 1 Dawn model. The chill moment dies instantly when the hare screams for him to watch the road. The sudden warning totally jump scares the driver. Yanking the emergency brake, he tries to drop his speed so they don't wipe out completely. The carriage drifts hard on the stone street, pulling off a ridiculously sketchy turn. Getting his grip back, Alvin flexes that he's already a pro and announces he's going full throttle away from the castle. Way out there, a super dark toxic cloud starts covering the sky, fast traveling toward the city walls. Spotting the freaky weather update, the celestial warrior asks what that nightmare smoke is, catching the kid's attention. The MC instantly calls it out as the level 4 boss from the Hippocratic Guild, dropping the lore that the cloud is packed with a literal undead army. Knowing it's a squad wipe threat, the angel puts the princess safely in the car and decides to solo the encounter. Locking in, she announces she's staying behind to tank the monsters push no matter what. Freya tries to stop her summon from popping a forbidden skill, warning it will permanently corrupt her save file. Flying up into the dark sky, Gabriel tells the girl to chill, explaining this avatar is just a hologram and not her main body. She swears she'll just get a respawn timer penalty when she goes back, totally ignoring the princess crying for her to stop. Pushing her holy mana to the absolute limit, the Guardian drops into a super serious boss fight stance. A massive beam of light shaped like a holy swan lasers across the sky, heading straight for the boss. The holy attack smashes right into the purple toxic cloud, hard stopping the enemy's push. The crazy burst damage leaves the master necromancer absolutely shook inside his storm. A giant bone dragon spawns out of the dark, with the enemy mage trash-talking the angel's holy form. The winged freak drops a deafening roar that literally shakes the sky from the sheer magic pressure. Watching the clash from far away, Alvin realizes just how completely broken level 4 stats actually are. Sounding kinda salty, he complains that all that insane power still isn't sitting in his inventory yet. But the kid quickly locks back in and tells them to hit the gas, because Gabriel's massive sacrifice can't be for nothing. The car keeps tearing up the dirt road, putting more and more distance between the duo and the PvP zone. Meanwhile, the Holy Light is still holding the line up there against the Dark Guild spam. Massive explosions light up the sky as the undead mob tries to Zerg rush the Holy Barrier. The Holy Lasers prove to be totally busted, melting huge chunks of skeleton mobs in literal seconds. Getting pressured hard, the Grand Mage raises his staff and instantly commands his units to turtle up. The Dark Army follows the ping, raising heavy shields to block the light spam. A gigantic dome of black magic wraps around the Necromancer, creating a crazy overpowered energy shield. The Guardian spots the villain's turtle strat and calculates her next cooldown to crack the shield. Deep down, she just hopes the princess is already out of the render distance and totally safe. Burning her final mana bar, the Celestial fires an absolute nuke of light directly at the enemy's zone. The clash between the two ultimate abilities causes a catastrophic server crashing explosion that lights up the whole map. The shockwave travels miles and hits the car, making the whole ride shake violently on the road. Through the smoke, the wizard's shield pops back up covered in cracks, literally one hit away from breaking. The master necromancer gets thrown backward by the recoil, feeling the absolute heavy damage of that holy nuke. Trying to process the hit, the villain asks what the angel's lore connection is to the princess, and if she's from the holy server. Being completely toxic, Gabriel just flips the old man off and tells him to touch grass. Logging out in a trail of light, the angel swears that when she respawns on her main account, she's coming back to finish him. Instead of getting scared, the toxic mage just starts laughing like a maniac in the middle of the wrecked zone. He thinks the whole thing is hilarious, wondering how many other VIP admins are secretly protecting the royal heir. But the smirk vanishes when he realizes this bounty hunt just turned into an absolute nightmare difficulty raid. Counting his losses, the Dark Master pings his troops to fall back, dropping the aggro for now. Meanwhile, the Doe's escape goes way smoother as they cruise through the green plains. The road trip gets paused when the car runs out of gas and water, forcing the kid to pull over and scavenge for loot. The chill vibe is ruined when Freya hears someone crying far away and pings her duo about it. Locking onto the creepy sound, the warrior turns his head, staring into the tall grass blowing in the wind. Walking through the fields, they find some totally panicked NPCs and a kid crying heavily over a body on the ground. Seeing the sad event, the MC guesses their farming cow probably just bit the dust. But the princess corrects him instantly, warning that it's definitely not just a basic farm animal. Looking super depressed, the girl drops the lore that the victim on the ground is actually a real human. The creature with the bull face and chopped horns is just another one of Elrond's heavily modded commoners. The camera cuts back to the wrecked lab hall, where the thug boss is laying on the floor completely stripped of his gear. Feeling totally humiliated, Jabba is raging and swearing at the toxic barbarian who ruined his massive payday. Out of nowhere, a mystery guy with a creepy green aura spawns from the shadows right behind the dealer. The dude introduces himself as Kuro Wyges, announcing he's taking over the bounty hunt from the one-eyed boomer. Totally shook by the spawn, the criminal panics and asks if the big boss just permabanned him after the fail. Kuro denies the ban, saying the leader actually wants to promote him to tier 3 for his solid effort. Hearing the epic news, the merchant jumps up hyped, blindly praising his guild master's generosity. But the messenger instantly kills the vibe, letting him know the boss actually really wants to delete his account. He explains the only reason he hasn't is because a level 4 admin vouched for him, leaving the dealer sweating bullets. Flashing an evil grin, Kuro offers him a redemption arc if Jabba leaks some solid intel on the targets. Jabba accepts immediately, but Kuro says he'll take the info and demands the dealer seriously up the bounty reward. Out in the distant mountains, a tiny, chill NPC village is just doing its daily routine, totally clueless about the server drama. Handing out candy with a huge smile, Alvin makes the local kids super hyped as they crowd around begging for more loot. A local mom walks up crying, thanking him deeply for helping bury her husband and dropping off free supplies. Acting super humble, the warrior waves off the formal thanks and says her giving them the water waypoint was payment enough. Leaning on the ride, Freya mentions the lady marked a well in the next town, so they can keep moving once they restock. Looking totally heartbroken, the princess vents about feeling like trash seeing her own server suffer while she can't even carry them. Jumping into the driver's seat, the guy keeps it 100 and reminds her that staying alive is literally their only main objective right now. Smiling with absolute confidence, he hypes the girl up, promising they can only fix the server and help the noobs after they secure their own survival. Hearing that straight-up logic takes a huge weight off the noble girl's shoulders, and she finally drops a genuine smile. Hitting the gas on the dirt road, the warrior says he's aiming to hit the next inn before the server turns to night mode. Later that night, the car safely pulls up to a well-built village under the bright moonlight. Inside the inn, a steaming hot pot of premium food gets dropped right on the duo's table. The NPC waiter tells them to enjoy the meal while the two finally start eating after a totally exhausting grind. Sipping her soup, the princess decides to ask why he booked 2 separate rooms, paranoid that the enemies might gank them in their sleep. Flashing a sly smirk, Freya teases her duo, asking if he was just trying to share a bed with her from the start. The warrior just shoots back a mystery smile, totally leaving her on read without confirming or denying. Realizing she just made it super weird, the young girl gets insanely embarrassed and cuts the chat, telling him to stop being dumb. The chill dinner is instantly ruined when a massive crash shatters the window and someone screams in absolute terror. Pointing like a madman, the innkeeper yells for the players to barricade the door against the nightmare mob outside. A gigantic undead beast breaks through the wooden window frames using raw brute force. The green monster drops a deafening roar, sending pure panic through the whole lobby. Before the freak can even fully clip inside, a super fast blur launches across the room straight at it. Catching the enemy lacking, Alvin yeets a heavy wooden chair right into the monster's face. The heavy hit knocks the beast backward, dropping it hard on the floor and wrecking the window even more. The randoms in the lobby are completely mind blown seeing such a ridiculously fast and broken counterattack. Casually dusting off his hands, the MC proves he literally didn't even try when he threw the furniture. Super relieved, the innkeeper throws his hands up thanking the devs and calling the kid a literal hero. Realizing his misplay, the young guy facepalms, salty that he reacted too fast and drew a massive amount of unwanted aggro. Far away from the chaos, Kuro is just casually strolling through the city graveyard, announcing he's about to drop some mercy on everyone. Channeling a heavy green aura, the necromancer uses a cursed skull to trigger his dark summon sequence. Instantly, a freaky monster hand punches through the dirt, spawning straight out of an old grave. Zombie beasts start crawling out of the ground breathing heavy, fully ready to grief the entire zone. Reading the magic trackers, the villain pinpoints the target's exact coordinates and orders the mobs to rush the inn. A look of surprise hits the mage's face when he sees how insanely fast the duo reacted to the first wave. He figures out the targets already know they're being hunted, so he switches up the strat for the night raid. Overclocking his corrupted mana, Kuro buffs his dark magic to the absolute limit. He commands his new zombie horde to go full aggro and hunt down the royal without an ounce of mercy. Back in the lobby, Alvin screams at the locals to equip their gear immediately because the raid is just getting started. Panicking at the warning, the guys start stacking heavy tables and crates to block the main entrance. Taking over as raid leader, the warrior orders the tanks to hold the first floor and tells the squishies to camp upstairs. The suspense spikes when soft tapping starts echoing from the other side of the barricaded door. With a sharp hand gesture, the MC tells everyone to mute their mics so he can read the play. Walking super slow, he creeps up to the door playing it incredibly safe to avoid getting baited. A super shaky feminine voice calls out from outside, desperately begging for a revive against the monsters. One of the locals totally falls for the bait and says they have to open the door to save the poor girl. Spotting the trap, Alvin yells at the guy to hold up before he completely throws the game. Keeping the door locked, the warrior asks the victim if there are a lot of mobs out there. The voice starts fake, crying even louder, claiming there are too many to count and begging them to open up. The NPC loses his mind and yells at the out-of-towner, arguing the girl is going to get deleted if they keep stalling. Ignoring the toxic teammate, the MC drops another direct question, asking how many players are out there with her. When she claims she's totally solo, he sarcastically asks how exactly she managed to walk through a massive zombie horde without taking a single point of damage. The reality check hits the locals instantly, making them realize that innocent voice was 100% a trap. Right on cue, the gentle knocks turn into absolute savage, heavy strikes trying to break the door down. Sweeting pure fear at the plot twist, the local panics and asks what the strat is now. Keeping his absolute chill, the young guy just holds his hand back and demands someone drop him a weapon. Shaking, one of the kids hands him a heavy iron sword. The warrior wins up, prepping a heavy forward thrust with all his base stats. In a flash, he stabs right through the thick wood, landing a critical hit on the hidden mob outside. The impact shatters the door frame and sends wood splinters flying everywhere. Massive bone claws rip through the barricade, confirming the fake girl was literally just a monster. Breaking down the enemy playbook, Alvin explains a necromancer is definitely micromanaging these beasts, since AI doesn't know how to bait players like that. The door finally gives out with a massive crash, unable to tank the damage anymore. The giant green freak clips into the inn, stomping right over the ruined barricade. Staring down its targets, the creature drops a totally terrifying roar, flexing its razor-sharp teeth. Super annoyed by the sound spam, the MC tells the thing to shut up and literally cuts it in half with one clean glowing strike. Turning to the terrified locals, he tells everyone to chill because he just cleared the room. But his cocky smirk vanishes immediately when he sees the render distance outside. The giant hole in the wall reveals a literal army of freaks marching straight for the entrance. The monster horde roars in sync, ready to wipe any player that gets in their way. The locals go into full panic mode, warning each other about the mob's one-shot poison. Gripping his sword tight, Alvin drops into his combat stance and orders everyone to ready up for the massive wave. Hyped up by the shot caller, the locals charge forward, screaming that they'll protect their base no matter what. The zombies flood the lobby while the defenders fight like absolute legends to keep them off the stairs. Camping on the second floor, Freya guards a mom and her kid, telling everyone to group up in the middle of the room to dodge sneak attacks. Upstairs, the families stay huddled together, absolutely terrified and trying to avoid the raid. Outside, another green beast starts wall, climbing the building trying to glitch its way in. The zombie freak smashes through the wooden window, but Alvin was already camping the spawn point. Trying to keep the comms clear, Freya tells everyone to stay chill and stop panicking. Before it can jump the squad, the monster gets absolutely checked by a wooden jug flying straight into its face. The village men rush in equipped with kitchen knives and pots, saying they're joining the lobby. Impressed by the energy, the princess respects the classic try-hard spirit of her servers people. Wasting zero time, she channels her mana, spawning a bright magic circle right in her hands. Razor-sharp ice spikes shoot out, pinning the monster down on the bottom floor. Keeping the crowd control active, the young girl swears she'll solo defend everyone upstairs. Super confident in her kit, she tells Alvin not to stress about her floor. Meanwhile, the bottom floor is an absolute disaster with a massive horde swarming the lobby. Knowing that playing purely defensive is a throw, the warrior announces he's going outside to hunt the enemy admin. The locals agree immediately, keeping their weapons up to body, block the stairs. With a totally feral dash, the MC slices through a beast, telling them to clear the lane. Launching himself out of the inn, he dives headfirst straight into the massive mob of enemies. The kid spams fast, heavy attacks while telling the freaks to get out of his way, but spamming hits on heavy armor makes the basic iron blade literally snap in half. Seeing the weapon break, the young guy gets salty about losing his only gear out there. Surrounded, he drops a sigh, admitting the common tier sword actually had decent durability. Planting his feet, the warrior realizes he has to pop his ultimate strat right now. Activating his core reformulation buff, the kid's avatar starts glowing with insane light. The magic straight up edits the map, pulling giant rock spikes out of the ground. Rocking a massive heavy, stone armor set, he dual wields heavy swords and enters his barbarian rage mode. With a hype grin under his helmet, the MC tells the horde to bring it on for real. Unleashing a devastating combo, he pushes forward, one-shotting the mobs like they're nothing. Watching from the backline, Kuro is absolutely mind-blown seeing the broken stats of what was supposed to be a basic barbarian. Raging over the bad matchmaking, the villain curses the traitor Kayan for baiting him into this nightmare raid. Suddenly, the necromancer spots a glowing green trail marking his exact coordinates. Tracking the secret alley ping, the rock warrior locks his aim directly on the villain's camping spot. Editing the terrain around him super fast, the kid crafts a massive, razor-sharp stone spear. Confirming the mage's hitbox through the markers, he wins up the throw with max strength. The giant projectile snipes across the sky at ridiculous speed, heading right for the target. Kuro barely manages to dodge the nuke that absolutely wrecks the map right next to him. Sweating pure terror, the dark mage literally can't process how this kid's damage output is even possible. His panic turns into a literal jump scare when a sharp blade stabs him in the back out of nowhere. Right then, Kayan drops out of stealth, whispering in his rival's ear that nothing is impossible. Furious at the toxic team kill, the bleeding necromancer demands to know why his old guildmate betrayed him. Pulling the dagger out, the traitor just laughs it off, claiming it's literally just business. Dropping his heavy rock armor, Alvin casually walks up to the duo. Wiping his blade, the wizard turns to the warrior and offers to start a massive co-op alliance. Keeping his game face on, the MC asks straight up what the terms of service are for this deal. The villain explains he wants to force their old guild master in the capital to hit the uninstall button. Crossing his arms, totally suspecting a scam, the kid wants to know the real endgame of this play. Being super greedy, Kayan drops the lore that he needs the old master deleted so he can rank up to level 4. Skipping the filler, Alvin gets to the point and asks what loot his squad gets out of this. The wizard swears he'll block all the enemy pings and delay any leaks about the princess. With that extra time, he promises the royal party will get a free, safe fast travel back to the castle. Shaking on it instantly, the warrior swears he'll drop the enemy target with extreme prejudice. Fading back into the shadows, the wizard tells the kid to stick exactly to the script. Just watching the mage log out, Alvin realizes the princess would only ask for an alliance if her NPCs were in danger. Super curious about the deep lore, he wonders what Freya's actual connection is to that traitor. When the sun finally comes up, the locals celebrate the massive W, hyping up the end of the nightmare raid. Crashing the party, Freya announces they have to fast travel immediately to dodge another wave. Inside the inn, the young noble speedruns writing a secret DM to warn her brother Otto. After sealing the letter carefully, the princess uses voice chat to call for a different kind of summon. Instantly, a bright magic portal pops open right in the middle of the wooden room. A super cute golden doggo jumps out of the ring, wagging its tail looking absolutely hyped. Giving the good boy some head pats, she attaches the message and tells him to deliver it to the nearest temple. Going serious mode, the girl orders the pet absolutely not to leak her location to anyone except her brother. Hyped for the main quest, the loyal pet drops a bark, swearing he won't throw the game. Outside, the village finally gets to enjoy a totally peaceful server under the bright sun. Later, the warrior is just AFK on the floor of his room, waiting for the cue to pop. The door swings open and a pink-haired guy stares at Alvin looking completely lost. Super sus of the random player, the prince instantly demands to know what he's doing with his sister. Boxed in by heavy armor knights, Alvin throws his hands up, totally clueless on how to explain the lore. The heavy vibe vanishes when Freya walks in smiling, calling for her little bro looking super wholesome. Dropping a gentle smile, the hare introduces the warrior to her stressed out brother. Still flexing his VIP status, the pink kid tells Alvin to grab the loot and get in the ride. Outside, an absolutely totally decked out royal carriage is already waiting for the squad. Chilling on the premium seats, the duo finally relaxes knowing they have a high-level escort now. Taking the wheel, the armored knight hits the gas on the transport. The vehicle zooms down the lit road, leaving all the low-level zones way behind in the dust. After a massive grind, the rescue squad finally pulls up to the giant gates of the main hub. In the packed city streets, the NPCs go absolutely wild, cheering for the princess's safe return. Hitting the castle marks the end of the escort mission, and the princess sprints down the halls crying out for her dad. Finding the king AFK in bed, she drops to her knees crying, while he just casually asks if she finally respond. Acting relieved, the old mustache king claims her comeback is a massive W for the server. With tears falling, the young noble drops the bomb that the Necromancer Guild completely backstabbed them. The admin keeps his cool and asks if they just griefed the royal family or the entire Elrond server. Raising her voice in anger, Freya announces the traitors completely logged out of the material world. Catching the drift, the dad realizes they started simping for evil raid bosses. Switching topics fast, he asks about the party invite she sent to the Alvin guy, super curious about his stats. Looking a bit awkward, the princess looks away and admits her duo is a pretty weird off-meta player. Happy with the review, the king tells her to invite the kid to a fancy dinner so he can check his vibe in person. The exact second his daughter leaves the room, the ruler's face drops into a super cold, try-hard expression. Wasting zero time, he pings a trusted elite, doubting the base guards have the stats to detect the evil cult. The elf-eared commander instantly bows, accepting the quest from his guild master. Before kicking him out, the monarch demands they data mine absolutely everything on the mystery kid. Far away, the MC is just chilling AFK in his premium room until someone knocks on the door. Waking up from his nap, the warrior hits accept on the room invite. A super pretty maid named Maria walks in, dropping the notification that the king formally invited him to the banquet. Bowing respectfully, she hints that the guest should grab a shower and reset his stamina after the crazy run. The guy gets a bit shy about the VIP treatment, agreeing that's just basic server etiquette. The map switches to the absolutely massive, crystal clear VIP bath zone in the castle. Following the NPC, the kid walks down the bright halls until they hit the massive indoor pool. Standing by the water, he just AFKs for a sec, waiting for the next tutorial prompt. Completely jumping him, the girl hugs him from behind and offers to help unequip his gear so they can up the bath. Spooked by the wild aggro, Alvin gently pushes her off, asking if this is really standard onboarding for the castle. Keeping her NPC voice, she promises that this kind of premium service is totally in her job description. Super sus of the hard push, the warrior glares at her, trying to read if she's capping. Sitting by the pool, he instantly calls out the fake, pointing out that a rich guild wouldn't hire a level 3 brawler just to clean floors. Seeing her stealth check failed, the fake maid drops a villain smile, admitting she got exposed way too fast. Getting her swagger back, she drops the act and tells him she'll stop griefing his chill time. The MC is left alone in the giant room, just overthinking the sketchy vibe check he just passed. Outside, the castle's massive gardens are totally peaceful in the broad daylight. Camping the outer halls, Commander Asura asks the spy what exactly caught little Freya's eye. Maria hypes up the target, saying the kid is super paranoid, has insane map awareness, and doesn't fall for basic bait. Staring her down, the boss claims he definitely didn't ping her to try and romance the guest. She shrugs it off, saying she just wanted to freestyle the test, and jokingly asks if the boss is salty about it. Annoyed by the troll, he tells her not to throw again, and says he's gonna solo the rest of the mission. Flashing a sharp glare, the leader decides he's gonna let his pets have a little PvP fun with the noob. Putting his fingers to his mouth, Asura drops a crazy loud whistle that echoes through the base. Instantly, a whole squad of massive, aggro wolves comes rushing up the stone stairs. Meanwhile, the vibe at Evamor Palace looks totally chill from the skycam. In the guest room, Alvin finishes equipping some insanely premium, high-texture clothes in front of the mirror. A weird audio cue grabs the warrior's attention, making him look back totally confused. Coming face to face with a giant white wolf growling at him, he jumps and asks where this massive dog spawned from. Checking the beast's hitbox, the kid quickly corrects himself, realizing that thing is 100% not a normal dog. Strutting into the room looking cocky, Asura tells his pet to toy with the kid and flex its damage stats. The commander keeps his toxic smile, waiting for his summon to instantly humble the out-of-towner. The giant wolf drops a terrifying roar, snapping its massive jaws right in the kid's face. But the monster's aggro literally uninstalls in a split second, turning into a totally soft, submissive whine. Ruining the whole boss fight vibe, the freak rolls on its belly, wagging its tail and begging for head pats like a basic puppy. Watching the absolute fail, Maria loses her mind laughing, totally roasting her boss's big brain strat. Face-palming super hard, Asura admits he is incredibly salty about miscalculating that whole play. Trying to save face, he pushes forward, saying it's better to just 1v1 the kid directly, like a cool uncle would. Petting the super soft fur, the MC searches his lore database and remembers the good girl's name is Sheila. The guild leader steps up in a combat stance and calls the kid out, ready to throw hands. Dropping his gamer tag, the commander flexes that he's an elite boss sitting at level 4. Wanting to stat check the kid, he sends a friendly duel request to see what the princess was actually hyping up. Without stepping back an inch, Alvin hits accept instantly, swearing he's totally down for the 1v1. The squad loads into the palace's massive training arena, where the NPCs bow to the master. Asura tells the guards to clear the ring, announcing he's just running a friendly spar with the new guy. The guards get super hyped, recognizing the kid as the absolute menace who broke the lobby last time. Stepping onto the dirt map, the elite commander asks if his opponent is ready to click start. With an explosive dash, Asura closes the gap in a frame and tells the kid he better not get clapped too fast. Equipping just a basic wooden training sword, Alvin locks in and promises that's definitely not happening. The veteran drops a massive ground pound attack, launching a huge cloud of dirt and rocks everywhere. Flexing his tank stats, the warrior eats the pressure, coating his weapon in bright glowing mana. Impressed by the block, the boss asks if these are the kid's famous pro league mechanics. Flashing a cocky smirk, the MC just sarcastically nods, totally ready for the next trade. The commander keeps the pressure up with high-speed spins, telling the noob to keep proving he's not trash. The arena turns into pure chaos with a brutal combo of hits getting perfectly parried by the kid's insane reflexes. But tanking level 4 damage back-to-back is too much, and the wooden sword literally shatters into pieces. Canceling his attack, Asura calls GG's, pointing out that the kid's weapon durability hit 0. Gripping the broken handle, Alvin drops a sly smile and announces the match is definitely not over. Instantly, the broken wood gets swallowed by an insane fire buff spawned by the kid's mana. Punishing the boss's lag, he fires a massive flaming slash straight at the elite commander. Shook by the ridiculous burst damage, Asura panic, rolls backwards, telling everyone to clear the blast zone. The brutal magic impact triggers a massive nuke that basically deletes half the arena map. Once the heavy smoke starts clearing, the commander's silhouette renders back in the middle of the crater. Coughing like crazy, Asura complains that the new player base is absolutely unhinged and way too extra. The veteran gives the kid props, confirming he passed the vibe check, but Alvin complains the boss was totally holding back. Walking backwards, the leader tells the kid to equip his fresh skins because old man Gustav is going to be a way harder raid. All dressed up and walking down a premium hallway, the MC calls out Freya's name when he spots a familiar character model. The princess turns around totally surprised, flexing an absolutely stunning white dress. A bit awkward, the warrior admits the skin change was so massive he almost didn't recognize her player tag. Laughing at his reaction, the girl jokes that even a total savage like him can look top tier when he equips the right cosmetics. Then the kid's focus completely shifts and he stutters, asking why a certain someone is wearing that outfit. Prince Otto rolls up wearing a super loud red dress and aggressively asks who made the rule that guys can't rock women's gear. Ignoring the kid's totally broken brain, the prince chilly announces it's time to load into the main hall. Walking down the massive red carpet, Alvin drops to one knee to properly greet the errand server admin. Keeping his respect high, the warrior states it's an absolute honor to finally meet the Demon King. The old ruler scans the new player and decides to just ask him straight up what his review of the server is right now. The MC repeats the question out loud, sweating a bit as he tries to pick the perfect dialogue option. Telling the kid not to stress, the king tells him to drop his honest feedback on what the devs need to patch. Looking the admin dead in the eye, Alvin confidently states that the whole zone needs a massive rework. Deep in the night mode, a sketchy figure climbs the massive stone stairs of an isolated tower. The creepy room is barely lit by one single candle melting on the desk. A hooded minion drops the intel his boss that the princess and the barbarian just spawned in the capital. Right then, a wrinkly hand grabs a mug full of some highly sus, glowing green juice. The old necromancer master casually sips his potion while listening to the patch notes. Looking hyped, the villain says the undead Colossus build is scaling perfectly, and orders the guilds to keep beefing to buy him more time. He swears that once his ultimate weapon is fully crafted, even the admin family will have to bow to his stats. The minion realizes how high the stakes are and confirms he knows exactly what his quest objective is. Waving him off like an NPC, the Dark Master tells his grunt to log out and get the job done. Out of nowhere, a freaky plant mob with tentacles wakes up and asks if that kid was his chosen carry. The old master denies it instantly, saying the noob stats are mid, and he doesn't need to pass his account down yet. Doubling down on the roast, the necromancer claims he'd never pick such a bot to inherit his legacy. Charging his toxic mana, the mage spawns an intense blue flame right in his palm. Pulling out an old scroll, he reveals it's the exact minimap for the city's underground sewer system. The boomer hands the item to the freaky plant and orders it to drop spell markers on very specific coordinates. The creepy plant praises the big brain strat, noting the master is fully ready to declare war on the entire server. Showing zero guilt, the necromancer just drops a grunt, totally locking in his villain arcs. Far away from that toxic tower, the royal palace is just chilling under the moonlight. Back in the hall, the king drops a whole speech about how the new player base always finds totally broken metas to carry the server forward. The admin then zeroes his focus entirely on the kid, heavily hinting that he's exactly that kind of OP player. Keeping a solid poker face, Alvin listens to the boss without showing a single drop of sweat. In his head, the king is totally mind blown, realizing the kid's mana pool and skill tree are way too busted for his current level. He confirms the warrior's character model is already showing signs of breaking the game's base physics. Getting back to the chat, the old mustache asks if the kid knows the vintage lore title for players with that kind of insane RNG. Echoing through the massive room, the king drops the reveal that he's known as the Seed of Perfection. The MC is totally shook hearing that absolute legendary tier thrown around by the admin. The lore says these players basically delete their mortal limits to craft a totally god tier account. The kid remembers hitting the level cap in the old game, but realizes the king's patch notes sound a bit different from reality. Chilling in his throne, the admin sighs, saying the server's in-game needs to be left to the younger players. Dropping a massive plot twist on the kid, the king literally transfers the entire escort mission for Princess Freya to him. Sounding almost like a dad, the king super nicely asks the out-of-towner to party up with his daughter more often. The next day, the capital's massive stadium is totally packed for a major esports event. The crowd is being super toxic, screaming insults and begging the players to absolutely delete the enemy team. Down on the field, a massive tank player with a bull face is sprinting with the ball using max stamina. The freak lands a brutal tackle on the defender, absolutely wrecking the guy into the dirt. The caster loses his mind, screaming the final score, crowning the Labyrinth squad as the ultimate champions. Watching from the VIP seats, the princess claps super hyped, talking about how insane the match was. The chill vibe dies when a random NPC shoves through the crowd begging for the royal highness. Seeing the guy panicking, Freya instantly asks what massive glitch just happened. A purple-haired kid runs up sweating bullets and drops the bomb that a guy named Caesar just got deleted. The royal hair goes totally pale, repeating the victim's name while stuck in pure shock. Wasting no time, the squad fast travels to the sketchy stone alleys in the city's low-level zone. Pulling up to the crime scene, they find the dropped loot of Julius Caesar, a super respected mod from the Reformist Guild. Scanning the area, Alvin checks the blood splatters and calculates the exact height of the griefer. He quickly spots a bunch of creepy letters written in blood straight onto the stone wall. The princess reads the word justice out loud, totally confused about what the troll was trying to say. Thinking out loud, the MC questions if the victim was actually as wholesome as his reputation claimed. Hearing the disrespect makes the purple-haired kid completely rage, telling him to stop trash, talking a banned premium user. Mouthing over the insult, the kid threatens to send a lethal 1v1 request if the out-of-towner doesn't take it back. Seeing the chat getting toxic, Freya steps in and orders Brutus to stop throwing immediately. Keeping his cool, Alvin uses basic logic and asks why a VIP would solo queue into this dangerous zone in the middle of the night. He backs up his theory by pointing out the victim was a level 2 Blade Master, but his HP dropped to 0 without even fighting back. Patting the raging kid on the shoulder, the warrior tells him to stop spamming duel requests at randoms. Taking charge again, the princess tells Brutus to just handle the funeral prep while she runs the detective quest. Still super salty, the kid bows and accepts the admin's orders. As soon as the kid logs off, Alvin repeats how incredibly sus it is to get ganked in such a trash tier zone. The warrior figures out this whole PK was totally staged to trigger a massive guild war between the political factions. The MC drops the logic that a beloved reformist kid wouldn't just AFK in the slums at night for zero reason. He bets the victim was hiding a fatal secret. Trying to connect the dots, Freya guesses maybe a shady trade with the conservatives, but immediately scraps the idea since the rival guild already had their own carry for the elections. With that mapped out, the warrior reminds her that Aaron's meta isn't just a 1v1 between two guilds, and the princess instantly realizes the necromancers might be pulling the strings. He remembers someone from the Dark Guild purposely lagged a message to let them escape. And when that traitor got exposed, he became basic bait to start the war. Totally mind blown by the big brain breakdown, the noble girl asks if the victim was literally that exact undercover mole. Confirming the theory, Alvin explains the guy blindly trusted his duo, dropping his guard completely, which let him get one-shotted without a single chance to parry. Processing the heavy lore dump, the royal heir wonders if this entire griefing operation is directly tied to Kayan's master plan. Way outside the slums, the royal guards are holding down a super sweaty defense around the Demon King's spawn point. The king is just AFK in his premium bed when he notices Asura walk in, instantly demanding the latest patch notes. Holding a piece of paper, the elite warrior mentions his quest to background. Check the new kid, revealing the server logs from the north finally downloaded. Reading the file together, Asura admits the kid's origin story absolutely destroyed every single theory they had. The admin is literally speechless reading the logs, completely failing to understand how the kid managed to party up with the Church of Wisdom Guild. Meanwhile, the massive alchemy lab inside the palace is totally quiet and packed with top-tier crafting stations. Breaking the silence, Alvin pops his reformulation buff, channeling a crazy bright magic aura straight into his hands. The energy compresses super fast into a glowing beam, fully rendering into a heavy, high-tech blaster. Checking the stats on his newly crafted gear, he smiles remembering this absolute hand cannon is called the Smasher. With a clean animation, the kid cocks the weapon, making 100% sure his loadout is ready for PvP. Dripping with confidence, the MC decides it's way past time to run another stealth mission down in the low-level district. Later on, the tight alleys of the slums are packed with local NPCs just doing their standard walking cycles. Keeping his gamertag totally hidden under a massive dark cloak, the young guy moves super stealthy through the massive crowd. Noticing his aggro got pulled by a stalker, he quickly cuts into an empty alley to set up a hard camp. Staying completely muted against the wall, the warrior waits like a pro for the tracker to walk straight into his trap. In a flash, he jumps out from the shadows, points his blaster right at the hooded figure, and demands to know who's creeping on him.